What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Tuesday, February 4th Injury Report show. I am your host, Adam Scherer. You can follow me on Twitter at ShipMyMoney DFS. Going to walk through today's NBA injury report, giving an overview of what to expect, how you can expect to react to news depending on how it breaks. Keep in mind, so I am doing this after the 1:30 injury report, so we have a bit more information than when I did it yesterday, but the trade deadline is on Thursday, so there is certainly the potential for things to change between now and lock as far as guys that are not on the injury report no longer being with their teams, for example. But be sure to check out my tournament show at 4:50 p.m. Eastern on this channel for more up-to-date information. We can talk through anything that changed then, but going to run through quickly. And starting with the Mavs, we do know that they just traded Quentin Grimes. You have Max Christie available. No Anthony Davis, no Derek Lively, no Dwight Powell, no PJ Washington. So no Q tags that we have to worry about or react to here. We are still getting a shorthanded team, but Kyrie's back, Gafford's back. So not the same level of stuff that we have to worry about as the other day. For Philadelphia, a lot of Q tags here. Caleb Martin no longer on the team. He was traded for Quentin Grimes. Andre Drummond questionable, Joel Embiid questionable, Eric Gordon questionable, KJ Martin questionable. This is kind of a wait and see spot. Fortunately, it is the first game of the night. There's a million different ways, obviously, that this news can break. If all of the Q tags are ruled out, then you are pretty much back to the status quo that we've had recently. In the last game where Eric Gordon was out, Ricky Council got the start and played a bunch of minutes. So you would just expect a similar rotation to that. If everybody is in, then the impact here, still no Paul George. So Tyrese Maxey will just look a little bit worse if Embiid is in. Still certainly a high upside play and all of that, but you do see his usage go down with Embiid in. It would hurt Yabusele if Embiid is in. It would hurt Yabusele a little bit if Drummond is in. It would hurt him more if Drummond starts over him, but I assume that Drummond would just back him up off the bench. So basically, I think the way to think about the Sixers right now is that Joel Embiid is the big piece as far as impact on other players. If Embiid is in, everybody else on the team, Kelly Oubre, Tyrese Maxey, looks relatively worse than they would if Embiid were out, simply because Embiid is going to be a high usage guy. That's obviously what he is. So he's the one that just has this impact on everybody else, minutes aside. Everybody else on the injury report is basically impacts their teammates just through playing time. If KJ Martin is in, then it's a little bit less playing time that Ricky Council and Justin Edwards and Kelly Oubre have to soak up. Like Oubre's been playing 40 minutes a night with everybody out. If you add Eric Gordon, you add KJ Martin, then he might only have to play 35, 36. So that's the impact that the Q tags here are going to have for the most part, with the exception of Embiid, who has an actual impact on the rates that you expect players to have, and everybody just looks a little bit worse if Embiid is in. Nothing notable for Boston. Nothing at all that matters there. Nothing that matters for the Cavs. Nobody's questionable. Still no Isaac Okoro. Still no Dean Wade. We have been in that situation for a while. For Houston, no Tari Eason, but you do get Alperen Şengün expected back. No Jabari Smith. No Fred VanVleet. So basically yesterday's situation, except Şengün is available and Eason is not. Yesterday, we got a starting lineup where Eason was replacing Şengün and Jayshawn Tate essentially replaced Fred VanVleet. I don't know if they'll go with that lineup today. They lost. Tate played 21 and a half minutes, but I would expect that you are getting a starting lineup, certainly of Amen Thompson, Dylan Brooks, Jalen Green, Şengün, and then one final piece, whether that ends up being Jayshawn Tate, whether they switch to Jeff Green, whether they go with Aaron Holiday, could be anybody else. But Şengün being back mitigates the impacts of Eason being out. One thing that Eason's absence does impact, though, along with VanVleet, you are likely to just continue getting a lot of Amen Thompson minutes. He actually only played 37 yesterday, only because that's really not a lot for him. But with these guys out, you continue to have the possibility, at least, of him playing 40 plus minutes in any given game. Cam Whitmore played about 22 and a half, 23 minutes off the bench yesterday. So he soaked up a few of those minutes that Thompson could have gotten. Next up, we have the Brooklyn Nets, which as a team are a nightmare, but as far as Q tags, very clean injury report. Nick Claxton's available. Bogdanovich, Clowney, Cam Johnson, Max Lewis, DeAnthony Melton, Ben Simmons, Cam Thomas, and Derek Whitehead are all out. Basically the same situation that we've had recently, except for Simmons did play in their last game. He's out now too. That's going to just help solidify playing time for D'Angelo Russell, Zaire Williams, Jalen Wilson, guys like that. But also keep in mind that with a couple of exceptions, the Nets run pretty flat rotations. They don't usually give a ton of minutes to anybody in particular. Jalen Wilson, usually plays a lot. Keon Johnson usually gets up around 30 or so minutes, but it's a team that is their rotations mostly suck for DFS. And mostly they're just in the same situation they've been in. Knicks, once again, without OG Anunoby tonight. He missed last night's game as well. Karl Anthony Towns, Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges are all probable. They're either going to start Precious Achiuwa or Miles McBride, most likely. Hopefully tonight they actually can figure it out. Last night, if you weren't paying attention, they announced McBride starting, and then a little bit later announced it would actually be Precious Achiuwa. I missed the second announcement, so screwed up my lineups. But one thing I will say here is that, and I said it yesterday, keep in mind that Tibbs generally reacts to players being out by playing his main pieces more. Now, obviously, this is a back-to-back. Maybe he takes his foot off the gas a little bit, but you got 38 and a half minutes yesterday from Towns. You got 37 from Brunson. Hart played 40. Bridges played 39. Precious Achiuwa got the start, played 34 and a half, and then McBride played 25 and a half off the bench. Cameron Payne was still just the straight backup to Jalen Brunson. Huck Porty played a total of 8 minutes. Shamet played 6 minutes. I expect more of the same here. If Miles McBride starts, one thing I did see yesterday, just looking around the injuries, I think his minutes were really under-projected if he starts. He has started 14 games since the start of last season, and they're not all apples to apples. Like sometimes the Knicks were more shorthanded than they are tonight. But his median playing time in those 14 starts is 44 minutes. He has not played less than 36 in any of those starts. And we saw last night, Achiuwa get the start and play 34 and a half. If McBride starts tonight, I would expect him to play a ton of minutes. And similarly, if Achiuwa starts, I expect him to play a lot of minutes. So just keep in mind that you are likely to, once again, get a condensed rotation here from Tibbs, given that that is pretty much what he always does. Toronto, on the other side here, no RJ Barrett. Chris Boucher is questionable. Bruce Brown is questionable. Those are the only injuries that matter. Boucher shouldn't matter too much. If he's out, you're probably just looking at more like Orlando Robinson, Kelly Olynyk, Agbaji. Bruce Brown matters a bit just because, again, that would open the door, I think, for more Agbaji minutes. But Agbaji's already probably going to play a lot with RJ Barrett being out. Agbaji played 20 minutes off the bench last game. I would think he probably moves into the starting lineup here and plays a lot. So Boucher, again, being out, probably just means more Olynyk, guys like that. Mogbo's not on the injury report. Maybe he's in the rotation if Boucher is out. Bruce Brown, as that kind of wing / secondary ball handler off the bench. Walter already played 21 minutes last game. I would think his minutes are a little bit more secure here. Mostly, I think these guys are impacting bench pieces. Like Grady Dick's minutes maybe become a little bit more secure if Brown's out. But I don't think either of these guys are likely to have a huge impact here because Toronto does have most of their G League guys with them, and they can just go a little bit deeper into the bench. For Miami, nothing noteworthy here. Duncan Robinson is probable. For the Bulls, Horton Tucker is doubtful, does not matter at all. Sanogo, Jalen Smith, and Dallin Terry are all questionable. The only one of those that matters is Jalen Smith. If he's out, for one, it helps to solidify playing time for Buzelis, who has recently basically taken over the sixth man role, or I guess still seventh man. Patrick Williams would technically be the sixth man, I guess. But you've one way or the other, you've seen Buzelis playing more minutes. Those minutes are just more secure if Jalen Smith is out because it gives him another spot that he can get minutes at. But the other thing that I think does tend to go a little bit overlooked if Jalen Smith is out is that you should be expecting more minutes from Nikola Vucevic. Vucevic plays, typically around 32, 33 minutes. Jalen Smith plays the rest. When Jalen Smith is out, you generally get just more minutes for Vooch. They don't have another center that just steps right into that direct backup spot. And so, for example, last game against Detroit, you ended up getting 36 and a half minutes from Vooch. That is a trend that you see without Jalen Smith. So if he's out, it's going to mean, more minutes for Buzelis. It's going to mean that Julian Phillips ends up in the rotation probably. But I think the big impact that tends to go overlooked is that Nikola Vucevic will also play more. And obviously that is really useful for DFS. We don't have an injury report yet for the Pacers and Blazers. Both of those teams played yesterday. For the Lakers, obviously, teams changed a bit. Anthony Davis is gone. Luka is still not available. Dorian Finney-Smith's available. LeBron is probable. Reddish is doubtful. Vincent is probable. So nothing crazy there as far as waiting on Q tags or anything like that. Whatever projection source you're using should pretty much be up to date already, or by lock. You don't have to worry about a lot of parts moving. Speaking of which, if you are looking for NBA projections, you can get access to mine using the links in the description below. Either sign up for Endgame Syndicate and my projections are included there, or if you just want the projections by itself, you don't want all of the other content that comes with Endgame, you can sign up using the Dub Club link in the description below. And finally, a reminder, if you are planning on playing NFL Showdown for the Super Bowl, or even if you're undecided, keep in mind that you can use the Showdown Sims tool at Run the Sims for free for the Super Bowl. In addition to that, as you can see on the bottom of the screen, use promo code ENDGAME and sign up for any of the NFL packages at Run the Sims. You will get 10% off and you will be locked into that price for life. If you missed the announcement, those of us at Endgame, Utica, Brick75, Nerdy Tenor, and myself acquired Run the Sims, and we are planning on continuing to use or offer the products, the NFL products that they have, and make some improvements to it, or what we think are improvements to it. We're really excited about it. So get in now, get 10% off, lock that price in. But even if you're not ready to do that, you can use the Showdown tool for free, customize your own projections however you want, run the Sims, see how your lineups look, see how many dupes you're projected for, all of that good stuff that makes it, that's really important if you are trying to have a good Super Bowl, make money in those contests. You can use that tool for free, so check that out. Other than that, thanks for checking out the video. Hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and tune back in at 4:50 for my NBA DFS tournament show. Thanks again.